I want you to begin to romanticize your future. When you really love something, you want to care for it. Well, when you fall in love with your future, you want to care for it. And so if you're romanticizing your future, all of a sudden when you go out into the world, you see the people, places, and things that will care for it, that would make it special, that would make it true, that would create it. You don't have to validate your existence. What validates your existence is just you being you, and that you are enough the way you are. And remember this, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that is to have succeeded. Because someone needs you. They need to breathe easier because of you. And they can't if they don't get the best version of you. I challenge you to romanticize your future. Welcome back to the show, everybody. This week's episode is going to be incredible. We're going to talk in some real specificity about your thoughts, programming your mind, being ready for life's moments. This one's going to be an extraordinary ride. Before I get into the show, though, I just want to say one thing to you. You know that all of my content is free. I put out hundreds and hundreds, it's now thousands of hours of content for free. But every once in a while, I do something where you can participate with me one-on-one or in a group. And so I've only done this one other time in my entire career, and it sold out in about 10 minutes. But this year, if you're watching this before 2025, I'm recording this in 2024. On December 9th, I'm doing an event, a group event in my home, very intimate event, less than 30 people to spend a day with me. You can go to maxout2025.com to get the information. It's not cheap, but it's a day with me. I'm going to take you through my entire 12-step system I've used for the last decade to plan my life and my year. So if you want to make 2025 the best year of your life, you can come to me and you can be in my home with me with a very small group of people for an entire day, but take you through that entire system. I'm also going to go through all the mental programming techniques that I usually only teach my one-on-one clients. So very limited seating. It may even be sold out by the time you see this video or hear this audio, but it's December 9th, 2024 in my home, maxout2025.com. Okay, now let's get into today's episode. This is going to be an awesome one. So I love this quote. Let me start out with this quote. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, I'm going to read it so that I get it right. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that is to have succeeded. Say it to you one more time. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that is to have succeeded. And that's Ralph Waldo Emerson. I love that quote because I think a lot of times in the personal development space, we just get caught up in all this accumulation culture. Got to get this next goal, this next level, this next income, this next watch, this next car, take my business to a certain point. But when you really break life down, and you were born to do something great with your life, by the way, is helping another human being. But oftentimes we get in our own way, don't we? And what gets in our own way is this thing between our ears, our minds. And that mind causes us to take actions that aren't in congruency with what we say we want in our lives. So I want to take a look at that a little bit with you today, because I have this other theory. I'm going to play a clip for you from the great Teddy Atlas in a moment here. So I'm going to say something to you. The difference between winning and losing in life is so small, it is almost too scary to talk about. It's a game of inches. It's a game of moments. It's sometimes millimeters. The difference, you think about sports, the difference sometimes, I watched the Chiefs-Ravens game this year. The end of the game came down to a guy's toe touching the line that was the difference between winning and losing. Sometimes it's one pass, one catch. In life, oftentimes it's that one moment you did or didn't ask that person out. That in business, sometimes it's that one investor or one sale. The difference between winning and losing is often so small, it's almost too scary to talk about. And that's why you got to fight for those inches, and you've got to be ready for them at any given time. I have this theory that really, even if you live 20 years, 50 years, 70 years, 140 years, life comes down to a handful of moments. And those handful of moments define us. And how we perform in that moment means the difference between winning and losing, can mean the difference between life and death, can mean the difference between living a great life and not. Yes, living greatly every day matters. Having standards and being a consistent person matters. But let's just be honest. Life comes down to a handful of moments. If you're an athlete, it may come down to that at bat you have when the scout's in the stands, right? Hitting 3 home runs in the 3rd game of the season is not the same as hitting 3 home runs in a World Series. Making a pass in a preseason football game for a touchdown is not the same as doing it in a Super Bowl. And sometimes making that big sale matters. Asking that person out at the right time. Think about if you're with somebody you love right now. and you ask them out? What if you didn't ask them out? How different would your life would be? Or how different would your life be without the birth of your child? Or for some of you that have suffered trauma or loss, how different would life be had that moment not happened? And so our lives come down to these moments. And I really believe this. Ironically, having high standards and living consistently prepares you for those moments so that no matter when they show up, you're ready. But for so many people, because they're so inconsistent in their thinking, in their habits, in their actions, that they only can rely on luck, that they get caught on a good day and the moment happens to match the good day. Well, I'm not willing to live my entire life based on luck. I want to be prepared all the time, because luck is really, truly, people say, oh, you got so lucky. Luck is truly when preparation meets an opportunity. And oftentimes, so many people aren't prepared when their opportunity comes, or they don't even know it's happening. They're oblivious that this is the moment. This is the time. This is your shot. And all you got to do is be great on that one moment. The successful people, they just showed up in the moment. They showed up in the moment when the moment presented itself, and they crushed it in that moment. The thing is, you got to be ready in every moment, because you don't know when that moment is coming. There's this great Toby Keith song, the late Toby Keith, and I play it when I play golf. He's got two. He's got one that it's called A Crappy Golfer. I'm paraphrasing. I love that song. But he's got this other song that says, I may not be good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. And being ready in life in that moment means everything. And I'm going to talk to you today about that moment. Listen to this clip right now by Teddy Atlas. This is going to fire you up.
On one given night, if you're determined enough, if you train hard enough, if you're prepared enough, if you care enough, if you're ready enough, then you can even the playing field. You can make life fair. On one given night, with all that, no matter who your parents were, no matter what they went through, no matter where you came from in the world, no matter your race, your creed, your religion, anything, no matter what, one given night.
On one given night, you can dispense justice. On one given night, life can be fair. Because for so many of you listening to this, you didn't start life on third base or second base. There is a deck stacked against you. There has been adversity. There has been trauma. You weren't born into the perfect family or the perfect race or the perfect background or the perfect socioeconomic environment, right? I know that I wasn't born into the perfect family. My dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict. So I didn't start on third base. We were on welfare when I was a little boy. So I know what that's like. Those are the most inspiring stories. But I could tell you this, when opportunity came along, I was ready. And I would not have normally been ready, left up to who I was when I was young. I had to change. I had to grow. And just to validate this point, think about your life. When you think about your life, don't you think about those moments, good or bad, traumatic or dramatic or victorious, magic moments of your life? Don't you? Think about that. If I said, tell me about your life, you're going to describe 5, 6, 7 moments, a couple from your childhood, maybe your marriage, a divorce, the birth of your children, a promotion, some incredible sporting event you went to, some moment you witnessed something, an experience you had. That's greatness. And so being ready for those moments when they show up requires a certain type of thinking, a certain type of discipline. And so I want to talk to you about vibrational frequency a little bit. I know that often I talk a lot about my faith being a Christian, but I also believe in energy. I believe in vibrational frequency. You can't deny that. When you're around somebody with a certain energy, you feel it. And you've also felt energy in your life that didn't feel right from somebody. It gives you almost an intuition, right? Some type of energy is attractive, some of it repels us. Well, same with our thoughts, same with our personal energy. There's a certain type of energy when you create it, you attract things to you. And there's another one where you repel things that may be for you. And two people with identical talents, with the identical moments, end up with very different results based on their thinking, which creates a vibrational frequency. So I'm going to give you some stuff that's interesting. There's a theory in physics that basically says this, that if you can hold a thought for about 15 seconds, so if you can hold a thought, people do this much easier with negative thoughts. So take a negative thought you've got. If you hold that thought for 15 seconds, what happens is that vibrational frequency, and by the way, negative thoughts have a lower vibrational frequency than positive ones, and truth vibrates at a higher frequency than does something untrue or a lie. So the highest vibrational frequency is truth. But when you believe something to be true, it starts to vibrate. And so what happens is if you start to repeat a thought long enough, you believe it's true. And then it vibrates at a higher frequency, and you end up drawing those negative things into your life, or that lack, or that scarcity, or those negative emotions into your life. So stay with me for a second. If you hold a thought for about 15 seconds, it begins to vibrate at a frequency that begins to cause something I call thought stacking, which means that vibrational frequency, after about 15 seconds, if you ruminate on a thought, it begins to draw another thought to it very similar, and then another thought very similar to it, and then another thought very similar to that. And if you do that for about a minute, you actually create a personal vibrational frequency that begins to draw those negative or positive things to you. That's how thinking actually works. That's how manifesting, which everybody talks about and knows very little about, actually happens. And what actually takes place after about a minute of those thoughts stacking, not only have you increased the vibrational frequency, but what's actually taken place is you've actually begun to program your reticular activating system in your mind. The RAS, which I talk about a lot, is the filter for your life. It filters into your awareness things that were probably already there, but that you were oblivious to because those things weren't important to you, or you weren't vibrating at a frequency where they mattered. So the RAS keeps you sane. So that's why you don't feel the blood rushing through your right ear. You're not cognizant of your breathing. You don't see all of the stimulus in a room at any given time because you would go crazy. It focuses you, and it shows you with your eyes. It lets you hear with your ears. Those are the two primary ways, but you can also touch things as well. But you basically see and hear things that are important to you, number one, or a threat, important or a threat, or that you believe very deeply. It's a prover. So it's almost like the beginning of a thought is like a table with no legs under it. And if you repeat that thought and hold it for a while, it'll stack another one and another one and another one. Then what happens is your RAS goes out to prove it's true. And you begin to find references in the real world to give that table legs. And then all of a sudden, you have an immovable object, it feels like, and you're just totally sure you're right. So this happens all the time with, people that have strong political beliefs, let's just say. I mean, once they believe so-and-so is a bad person, and they're going to filter into their awareness more and more and more proof. They're probably going to hang around people that prove that to be true. So that's another reference. They talk about it together, and then they see it on their social media feed. Then they see it on television. And then there's some evidence when they see someone on the street that's homeless, whatever it might be, it validates that belief system because it filters it into their awareness. You've all also had the experience before where you walk into a very crowded room, and it's audibly, all of a sudden, someone says your name in a room, and you can hear it audibly over all the other noise in that room. Why is that? Because our own name is important to us, right? You've all bought a new car before, and all of a sudden you see that car all over the highway, right? They were always there, but now they're important to you so that you see them. And this is just really, really important to know. And the way that reticular activator gets turned on is by thought stacking. So the vibration changes. Not only does it change the frequency where it increases, it begins to create more thoughts that are similar to it and then drive it. So if you really believe that the world's out to get you, for whatever reason, you're going to have another thought and another thought. And if you hold that thought long enough, it'll draw another one and another one and another one. And then you will get out into the world, and everything that basically happens around you will begin to prove you're right over a long-term basis. That person was out to get me. I got cut off in traffic over there. I got overlooked for that promotion. And all of it feeds that original belief. And so you are right. And that's why when you try to change someone's mind about something they believe deeply, whether it be their religion or their politics or something about someone they're dating, whatever it is, it's almost impossible because they're right in their prism, in their filter. Their eyes, their ears see that world. Your eyes, your ears see that prism, that filter. It's your world. They are both true. Hey guys, you've been hearing about Mint Mobile probably everywhere, and I'm super excited that you're hearing about them now on the Ed Mylett Show because I just switched my daughter's long distance service over to Mint Mobile because they use the same 5G service everybody else is using, but it's so much less money. So with big network providers, the big wireless ones, what you see is what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. So you can say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans with these jaw-dropping bills that you get every once in a while, unexpected overages, which we just got. So to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Mylett. That's mintmobile.com/Mylett. Cut your wireless bill to 15 bucks a month. Mintmobile.com/Mylett. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to the $15 a month. New customers for the first 3-month plan only. Speed slower on 40 gigabytes on an unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for detail. They are both true. And that's why when you hold a belief, you have to ask yourself, even if it's true to you, you go, no, it is true. I wasn't born on first base, or people are out to get me. Even if it's true, does it serve you to believe that? And what could you believe that would serve you about it? Because do you really want to get to the end of your life just to prove that this adversity or negative thing was true? Because that's what you're doing. You're going to get to the end of your life and you go, told you, I was right. I had no shot. Good for you. A nice victory. You ever ask somebody who holds these thoughts that don't serve them, what exactly is the victory to prove that you're right? So you get to the end of your life and you die and you accomplish nothing. You get to the end of your life and you're not happy. You get to the end of your life and you're lonely. You get to the end of your life and you repeated a trauma that happened to you when you were 8 years old or 15 years old or 27 years old the rest of your life. Or even worse, you make it worse in your mind and you live out these events in your mind that don't even exist. What are you trying to prove? How does it serve you to believe this? So I will ask, I remember in baseball, come back to the dugout, go, this guy is throwing heat, 96, guy's almost unhittable. I remember one of our guys got in the dugout, I said, dude, what are you talking about? Unhittable? He goes, dude, he's throwing 96 miles an hour. That was true. Unhittable? We're all now going to go up and prove him right by getting out. I don't believe that. I believe, by the way, my belief system is if I can get on, if one guy can get on and get a hit against this guy, it breaks up his rhythm, shows everybody else in the dugout this guy's hittable. And so my job here is to get a hit against this guy, increase my vibrational frequency. I'm visualizing me getting the hit and then another hit, and I'm stacking that thought for over a minute. Then it becomes real. Then my RAS, when I get up to the plate, is going to see the pitch I'm capable of hitting when he throws it, and I'm going to hit it. Ironically, in baseball, in professional baseball, it's a well-known thing that they will tell you that in professional baseball, you usually get one good pitch to hit per at bat. So when you come up to bat as an MLB hitter, as a major league hitter, you may see 2 pitches, 4 pitches, 8 pitches. But in any given major league at bat, one of those pitches is really hittable that you should be able to hit. And that's why I say life is a handful of moments. So is an at bat in baseball. You may see 6 pitches. One of them you're capable of really hitting. And you better jump on that one moment and that one time, like Teddy Atlas says, and life becomes fair in that moment. Everything's equal in that moment. All you got to be is ready for that one pitch in that at bat. Not all of them. But the way that you're ready for that one is by being ready for everyone and having the reticular activating system reveal to you the one that is hittable. I know this sounds deep, but I want to give you the juice today. And so let's step back even further. When you're thinking, ask yourself, who is it that's aware that I'm thinking? Who is it that's aware that I'm even thinking? And when you begin to understand that you are so much bigger than your thoughts, so much bigger than your thoughts, you're bigger than what you do. See, some people say, I am the universe. Whatever that belief is, that's fine. What I believe is the DNA of the King of Kings is running through my blood, that he holds me in the palm of his hand, that I was made in his image and likeness. I'm a part of him. I'm his son. Whatever your belief system is, you could believe that you're a part of the universe or you are the universe. That's your business, believing what you believe. But either of those beliefs tells us we are bigger than our thoughts. We are bigger than what we do. You are not your thoughts. You don't have to believe everything you think. You're bigger than that. You're better than that. And you can change them. And when you do change them, life begins to change. So what I want you to begin to do is attempting to hold a positive thought about something you want for longer than 15 seconds. Because if you can hold that thought for over 15 seconds, your frequency changes and you begin to draw another thought to you similar to it. It's like a cousin thought. It's a thought stack. And then another one will come if you can hold it. And then another. And if you could do that entire thing for over a minute, you've started to program your reticular activating system. Now, life is not about what we think. It's about what we do. But we have a higher likelihood of doing the right thing in the right moment if we're thinking the right thoughts. And we can change the way we think because we are not our thoughts. We don't have to believe them, and we are bigger than them. That's the good news. And so you are bigger than them. So try to hold that thought stack it, repeat it. And all of a sudden, if you do that repeatedly, you begin to go out into the world and that frequency begins to attract to you things that were always there, but that you weren't seeing or hearing because they weren't important to you. You ever been on an airplane or in a restaurant and for some reason, you can overhear a conversation 3 tables over in a loud restaurant. Maybe it's a couple that's disagreeing, but suddenly you almost can't help yourself. You feel good. You're like, you're trying to stay in the conversation you're in. It's loud. Why can I hear this? They're not talking louder than anybody else. Why? Your RAS picked up on the conversation because it's interesting or important to you. Well, what if your RAS was able to pick up? What if that, instead of it's a gossipy conversation 3 tables later, it's someone who needs your product or service? You're at a party and they need your product or service, or you see somebody who needs you in your business life, or you see that person who could change your life. They're there. They're there. You're missing them. It's called the matrix. I call it the matrix in my book, The Power of One More. I write a whole chapter about this called the matrix. You are literally living in your own matrix that is inside this mind of yours. And when you begin to understand and become an observer of your thoughts, that you realize you are not your thoughts, you're the observer of your thoughts, and you are bigger than them, and you are the orchestrator of this symphony called your thoughts, that you can begin to either disregard the negative ones or you can begin to replace them with these positive ones that I'm referencing. Or at least when you're having the negative one, interrupt the pattern before that 15 seconds hits, where all of a sudden now you're drawing another negative one and another negative one. One of the things I've become pretty good at doing is when I'm in this thought pattern, I'll interrupt that pattern before it gets to 15 seconds. Because I know if I'm ruminating on this thought for more than 15 seconds, I start thought stacking and I bring another one in that's its cousin. And if I hold that one, then I bring in another one that it's its cousin. And all of a sudden, if I do that for over a dadgum minute, now my RAS is looking for these things in my life, and my matrix changes, my filter changes, my existence changes, my life experience change, my emotions change, my life changes. We are our emotions, not our thoughts. And we can change those emotions on a very regular basis by simply interrupting these thoughts that we have. So who's aware of that? Something a whole lot bigger than everything else. Let me say this to you. One of the things I would love you to start to do, you ready for a term I'm going to give you? Maybe you haven't heard before. I want you to begin to romanticize with your future. One of the things that your brain has become very accustomed to doing is romanticizing things. It's very familiar to you. You romanticize someone that you love. You romanticize someone you fantasize about. You romanticize a lot of things in your life, your children, your past, if it was good. You even romanticize negative trauma in your life. You kind of romanticize it and revisit it over and over again. And it's very easy for you to do. I want you to hold on to this phrase and maybe even write it down or speak about it more often. Romanticize with your future. See, when people say, hey, think about your dreams, think about your future, a lot of times people have a difficult time doing that. But for some reason, when you say romanticize, it changes the context. It's almost like somebody that you know you have your eye on that you'd love to ask out. Or it's almost like if you're an athlete, knowing the ball game's coming on Friday or Saturday and you're going to play, and there's this romanticizing you do about when I get that touchdown, I'm going to see my mom and dad cheering in the stands, or when I win that award, my kids are going to be proud of me. You begin to romanticize with your future. This is a powerful terminology to change a thought. It's very difficult to romanticize with something negative. It's very easy to romanticize to something positive. So when someone says change your thinking, for a lot of people, that's difficult because they've been programmed to think the negative things. So I'm not asking you to think differently in this context. I'm asking you to romanticize it. And you know what that means? When you begin to romanticize something, you repeat it over and over. It gets more color when you see it. Sometimes it even moves in slow motion. Even sometimes there's some music behind it. You can almost feel something when you're looking at those images or that video in your mind, can't you? You almost feel your neurochemistry changing. Maybe you get some of those butterfly feelings that I talk about often. And so romanticizing actually can help anchor a thought because it's changing your neurobiochemistry. And so it's a much more powerful thing than thinking. I give myself the gift often, daily, of romanticizing my future. And for some reason, I don't know, when you really love something, you want to care for it. You want to treat it well. Think about the people in your life that you love. You want to nurture them. You want to care for them. You want to get them gifts. You want to tell them you love them. You want to make them feel good. Well, when you fall in love with your future, you want to care for it. You want to treat it well. You want to give it love. And not enough of you have romanticized with your future. You think about it, but it's some abstract thought that's separate of you. But when you fall in love with your future, you fall in love with it. You begin to treat it differently. You also begin to treat the caretaker of that future better, which is you and God. And so this romanticizing with the future, I believe, as I begin to teach this, could be a breakthrough in personal development, because you will treat it differently. You will treat you differently. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. So people ask me all the time, of the 800 or so guests you've had on the show, is there one thing they all have in common? I can tell you a thing they all have in common. Most of them have been to therapy or are currently going to therapy. One of the reasons for that is it's just healthy to be able to talk out loud about the problems you have in your life or to work on solutions. Whether or not you've got like trauma from your childhood that's pretty severe that you need to work through, or maybe you're just feeling some emotions that don't serve you right now and you want to change them. Maybe it's none of that stuff, and you just want to kind of get some more clarity and focus in your life and talk with somebody about where you want to go or what you want to accomplish or even what's holding you back. That's where BetterHelp comes in, and I love it because all you really got to do, first off, it's all done entirely online. You just fill out a brief questionnaire, you get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists if you don't click with them for no additional charge. I love BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/edshow today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/edshow. The thoughts create more feelings in your body than just a everyday generic thought. You begin to think of the different things you could do, don't you? And dreaming that you could care for this person. When you first started dating somebody and it was so romantic, you were thinking of unique ways to show them how you loved them. The creative part of your brain and your heart goes into overdrive, writing them little notes or getting them a gift, or everywhere you'd go, you'd see something you'd want to get for them. They'd love this. Oh, they would love this. That's your RAS seeing them in that store. You starting to get it? When it's romantic, all of a sudden your RAS is like, I need to get that for this future I want. I need to observe that for this future I want. I need to acquire this. I need to talk to that. I need to buy that. I need to learn that. You begin to romanticize and you find gifts for your future. And these gifts are the deliverables that make it true someday. And so all of a sudden, if your future was like somebody that you loved, oh my gosh, how different your RAS will be when you walk out in the world. Can you see the difference? See, when you weren't in love with somebody, if you are currently or have been before, you'd walk into a store and it was just a store full of stuff, right? Or there was just a song on the radio. But when you're in love and it's romantic, that song has meaning. You hear it, don't you? All of a sudden you learn the lyrics. When you walk in somewhere, oh, they would love this. They would love that. You see a restaurant, I would love to go there with them. All of a sudden, these things that were sort of the vanilla background of your life stand out, don't they? They stand out. The song stands out. It feels something to you. It has meaning. All of a sudden, you're listening to the lyrics of this song much more closely, whereas before you were in love, it was just kind of the beat and it sounded good. It goes a level deeper. It takes the filter off your life when you do this. And so if you're romanticizing with your future, all of a sudden when you go out into the world, you see the people, places, and things that will care for it, that would make it special, that would make it true, that would validate it, that would create it. And so it's a very subtle distinction, but it shows you how the RAS actually works. You know that before you were in love, you just walk in a store, it was just stuff in a store, or you saw a restaurant, it was just a nice place to eat, or you hear a song, it just sounded good. But all of a sudden, when you're in love, that song potentially has meaning and you listen to it deeper. In fact, that song, listen to this, that has that deep lyric meaning to you, you can hear the first 3 bars of that song and you know it, because your RAS recognizes it, just like it does the new car you buy, just like it could that prospect, just like it could for your dream, just like it could for that deal. Because remember, you're one decision away from changing your life, one new contact away, one new lesson away, one new emotion away, one new thought away from changing your life, one more try away. Maybe it's one more podcast away like today, one more mentor away like I would love to be for you. And so I challenge you to romanticize your future. Let me say this to you lastly. I want to take some pressure off you. Out of everything that I'm saying, I'm sure for some of you, this is a pretty big breakthrough about how the RAS works and the difference between walking through life and everything's blending into the background, and all of a sudden walking through life and certain things stand out. Your eyes and ears begin to reveal things to you that were already there, but now mean something to you, are now important, and now are going to prove something. And so that's the difference in life of the RAS on, filtering things in that matter, and your RAS just being vanilla. And for too many of you, you've got a big dream, but you have not worked on your thinking. You've not worked on your vibrational frequency. And what's happening is these moments, those handful of moments in your life may have come around and you didn't even know they were there. Or for some of you, they came around and you weren't ready. And here's what happens to most people. Their emotions are dictated by their experience. Let me say what that means. And this is why they lose those moments. See, they're all excited and confident and believing in themselves when they do well. But what happens when you miss the sale? What happens when there is a setback? What happens when someone does take advantage of you? What happens in that moment? For too many people, that experience overrides their thinking. And what happens is that experience causes them to change their thinking because they don't have a pattern of great thinking, a consistency of great thinking. And so when the failure happens, they get down, they get lazy, they take time off, they cool it, or they just check out, or they're just not their best, or they lose their confidence. And that's the worst thing, because that's when the next moment's going to show up. And when the next moment shows up, you're not ready for it because you don't have a pattern of thinking correctly. You don't have a pattern of controlling your emotions. And so ironically, you have to be able to show up, regardless of how you're feeling, and perform anyway, because you don't know when the moment's going to appear. Are you hearing me? You can't let a rejection on a previous appointment roll over into the next one. You can't let a bad experience or a bad day change the way you behave and think in the next one, because that's almost always, isn't it, when that moment comes. And some of you get so down and so off your game, you don't even realize that moment just presented itself to you. You're oblivious. Not only did you not get it, you missed it altogether. You don't even know you missed it. You don't even know what you don't know, because you're so up and down emotionally and with your thoughts that you miss the moments. And so the key thing is to stay consistent with our thoughts. Our emotions shouldn't get too high and they shouldn't get too low. So if you can stay in that upper 80% quadrant most of the time, you're ready when you're ready, and you stay ready. Successful people stay ready because they know the moment's going to come, and they can't let the previous moment or the previous day or the previous thing affect the moment that's going to be there. And that's why you romanticize with your future. Now, here's the good news. I believe there's going to be a couple more moments come your way. And this time we're going to be ready if we start to adopt the things I'm talking about. The last thing I want to say to you, because I feel like a lot of people I talk to when I go speak, and I speak like 80 nights a year, and I do, I don't know, what do I do? 150 podcasts a year. And I coach a lot of people too. I feel pressure. I feel a lot of people feel pressure in their life. I'm going to say something to you that someone should have said to you before. And if someone has said it to you, then it'll confirm it. You don't have to validate your existence. Did you hear me? You don't have to validate the fact that you exist. God made you in his image and likeness. That's enough. Now, I know you want a great life. I know sitting on the couch is not good enough for you and you want to do something great, but you don't have to validate the fact that you exist. Too many people feel the pressure right now to even validate why they're living, validate that they're here. And that validation they think they have to have from other people that they exist is the energy that they're wasting that should be focused on their goals and dreams and their own happiness. Too many of you are dispensing your energy and the control of your life to the whims of other people because you're trying to get them to validate your existence. And I can tell you, as somebody who's been very blessed and fortunate to achieve many of the goals in my life, no matter what house you get, what jet you get, what amount of wealth you accumulate, it will never, ever validate your existence. What validates your existence is just you being you, and that you are enough the way you are. That doesn't mean you should settle and lay back and gain a bunch of weight and not achieve and not help the people that you were born to help. You were born to do something great with your life, and you should do it. But you shouldn't be doing it to validate your existence. You're a human being. You're special. You're precious. You're blessed. You're favored. You're amazing. You're unique. You're one of a kind. And if you're down right now, you can come back. You can get back up again. If you're really doing great now, you got to bring some more people with you. You got to take it to a new level. So you don't have to validate the fact that you exist. Thank God you exist. Thank God for you. I want there to be a longer line of people who are thankful for you, but not validating you. And remember this, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that is to have succeeded. That's it. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that's to have succeeded. That's Ralph Waldo Emerson. And the reason this matters is because someone needs you. And you can't be down because you don't know when that person's going to come across your life in that moment that they need you. They're going to need the best you. I don't know if it's your children, your parents, your friends, a stranger, a new prospect or client in your business, but someone needs you, and they need the A game you. They need the high vibrational frequency you. You can't let the previous day or the previous failure or the previous relationship or the previous meeting or the previous anything run into the next one. That moment is gone. It's a figment of our imagination. We cannot change it. It has already happened. It's in a different matrix altogether. But we can't let that bleed into the next one because someone needs you. They need to breathe easier because of you. And they can't if they don't get the best version of you. You were born to do something great with your life. I hope today helped you. So let me say 3 things to finish. Number 1, I opened the podcast with an event at maxout2025.com. This will only be 20 of the 3 million people listening. But if that link is available still, maxout2025.com, see if that day to spend with me is right for you. Number 2, if it's not right for you, get on my email list. Go to edmylett.com and get on my email list, and I will continue to help you for free. All of my content is free. Thousands of hours is just here to serve you and make a difference in your life. And third, please share today's episode with somebody. If you're on YouTube watching this, go subscribe to an audio platform like Apple or Spotify. If you're listening to Apple or Spotify, go over and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you're getting the videos as well when the time's appropriate. Okay, everybody, God bless you. Max out your life.